Streaming all across the country, from Washington State to South Beach and the Northeast to the deserts of Arizona, to dive into all things football. You're listening to the B&E Podcast. Here's your hosts, Ed Donaldson and Brandon Simpson.
Happy holidays, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breaking the Interim Podcast. We got one more week of regular season football. Week 17 is through, but let's get it going, shall we, Brandon? How we doing today, man?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Another day. Glad my team lost, getting closer and closer to a better draft pick, so let's keep it going. Continue to do what you've been doing all year. Commanders, lose.
I wanted a loss. I'm sure my team will. They may follow through next week. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. And the Giants, my dad's team, of course, they didn't understand the assignment either. Next round and won and blew out the Raiders. But yeah. All right, everyone. Let's get to this opening drive, shall we? Three-time Pro Bowler DeForest Buckner. He will not play Week 18 because of a herniated disc in his neck. Max Crosby, he's on IR and expected to undergo knee surgery. Trey McBride, he now has the NFL single season record for most receptions in a single season by a tight end. Joe Burrow says he plans to start Sunday's finale against the Browns. Trey Lance will start for the Chargers against Denver as Herbert is resting. The Pro Football Hall of Fame announced its 15 finalists for the class 2026. It includes Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Jason Witten, Frank Gore, Willie Anderson, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Eli Manning, Reggie Wayne, Jahari Evans, Marshall Yonda, Terrell Suggs, Kevin Williams, and Darren Woodson. And Andy Reid out in Kansas City says he plans to return for another season as the Chiefs head coach. Ed, any thoughts on the opening drive?
Yeah, congrats to all the finalists for the Hall of Fame. It seems like it's a lot this year. Maybe I'm just tripping, but it seems like a lot more than what they usually have. Some of the names that pop out of me: Terrell Suggs, T. Sizzle, Ball So Hard University, great character on and off the field. Larry Fitzgerald, wish he would have won a Super Bowl. It was really sad for him when they played the Steelers and lost that Super Bowl. He was real close to that game. Frank Gore, Torrey Holt. I loved him back when I was a huge Rams fan back in the day, in the early 2000s when they won that Super Bowl. Had jerseys and everything. I played the team in Madden and everything. Loved those guys. Eli Manning. I don't want to say he doesn't deserve to get in, but I'm not surprised. But I was like, oh, okay, he did get in. He got in kind of early too, because you look at his numbers. They don't like blow you away or anything, but he does have 2 Super Bowl wins, and he does have 2 Super Bowl wins against arguably the greatest quarterback, greatest player in the NFL. So salute to Eli Manning. I am happy for him too. Love what he's doing off the field as well. But yeah, salute to everybody. Luke Kuechly too, man. Career kind of cut short in my opinion for injuries, but definitely one of those really good players out there. So yeah, salute to everybody who was a finalist.
Yeah, I do think this will be trimmed down, though. I think they do it right before the Super Bowl. They trim it down one more time. Yeah. But,
got you.
Good list, though, man. Same. All these players, man, I'm sure you in agreement. All these players we grew up watching. I think the only one that caught me when I was putting this together was Jahari Evans, and then I thought about it. I didn't look him up. I think he played for the Saints. I believe he was a guard or a tackle. Could be wrong. But Willie Anderson, just to, throw a couple points to guys that guys you didn't mention that, you had your guys. But Willie Anderson, man, Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle, man, it was a problem having to play him twice a year back in the day when he was playing Marshall Yonda, of course, the Ravens guard. If you see him now, he doesn't look anything like a guard. He looks like he could run up and play wide receiver. He's lost a lot of weight. Reggie Wayne, man, hated playing him with the Colts, man. Him and Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison out there for years and years, and my guy Drew Brees, man, I couldn't be more happier for him. Hopefully he gets in there, and then Adam Vinatieri as well, man. It was always like we used to be as Ravens fans when Justin Tucker went out there. We knew it was pretty much automatic. You can go to the refrigerator, you can go out to your car real quick. You knew he was going to hit that field goal there with New England, then in the back end of his career with the Indianapolis Colts. So yeah, great list. We'll interested to see how they trim this down, and I think it'll probably be a coach or two that get added in as well at some point. All right, everyone. Houston is looking like the team that nobody in the AFC wants to see. They're now 11-5 after starting 0-3. They clinched the playoff berth in Los Angeles after beating the Chargers 20-16. Ed.
Yeah, man, we both picked the Texans to win this game. Early on, it looked like it was going to be easy victory. That's all I thought it was when I was previewing this game. And I'll be honest with you, a couple weeks ago, I said one of these teams out here is going to be my sleeper team to make it to the Super Bowl. I was talking about the Texans. Games like this early on makes me confident in that pick. And then as the game went on, the offense of the Texans, man, kind of like makes me shy away from that pick because they went to a complete halt. CJ Stroud started turning the ball over. It seems like guys started eating popcorn, a lot of buttered popcorn. And the hands just got real shaky, the ball popping out the hands, but guys running with the ball and it just falls out the hands. I think it happened to one of the running backs, if I'm not mistaken. But the Chargers, they were able to slowly get back into this game. Credit to the Texas defense, though. I got to give them all the credit because they pretty much won this game for the Texans. As you see across the screen, 5 sacks. They were getting after Herbert all day. But shout out to Justin Herbert, though. He kind of was looking like Big Ben out there. Like people were like hitting him and he wasn't going down. I remember one play he was getting hit by a defender. His lineman kept him up because he kind of bounced it to his lineman and he still was able to get the ball and throw the ball. I was like, God damn, this dude must be really hard to take down. I know he's like 6'5", but he kind of looks like a slimmer side dude when you look at him on TV, but I'm sure he's probably really bigger in person, kind of like Big Ben. But Big Ben was a big ass motherfucker. But yeah, man, the Texans, man, when they get to the playoffs and stay clinch, they really got to get this offense like under control. It would be really good to see somebody like Tank Dell back in the mix, but I doubt he's going to be out there. But you can really see they miss a Joe Mixon and a Tank Dell out there. So I'm curious to see how the offense is going to look because CJ Stroud early on, I think it was like back-to-back drive in the first quarter. He had those touchdowns, one of Jaden Higgins' big plays, and then after that, he started throwing interceptions, couldn't really get anything off against the Chargers. So I'm wondering what the offense is going to look. I'm sure the defense is going to be out there to play, but, when they get to the playoffs, they're going to play teams that can make some plays happen, even if you got the greatest defense in the world. So really need to see how the Texans offense looks going forward, running game, and who's going to be, other than Nico Collins, who's going to be a consistent guy. I would think it would be Dalton Schultz, but it doesn't seem that they have a consistent connection and that chemistry like that. So that's one thing I'm gonna keep my eye on for the Texans going forward. And the Chargers, we'll see how they do when they get to the playoffs. Justin Herbert, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with that hand. He was getting banged up a lot out there. I saw him wince in the paint a couple of times after he took some hits. So really interested to see how the Chargers look. This could be a playoff matchup of the first and second round. We'll see. Brandon, what were your thoughts on this game, though?
Yeah, man, this was one of those victories. I think they got to credit the entire team for Houston. Offensively, they jumped out to that 14-0 lead. CJ Stroud early on in the first quarter was throwing dimes to Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel. I had never even heard of Jalen Noel till this game had those early scores. They continued running the ball hard throughout the game. Defensively, they shut down Amarion Hampton, sacked Justin Herbert 5 times, held them to a 46.7 QBR. Special teams, Fairburn made a couple of clutch kicks there in the second half to help seal the victory. It just seems like it's something about this Houston team, though, that Justin Herbert and the Chargers cannot figure out. They lost to them last year when they were favorites. I think they entered this game 1.5-point favorites at home. And you mentioned it's not necessarily a home game for the Chargers and the Rams there in Los Angeles, but still, you're technically on your home turf. It seemed like you would be able to defend that, but the Chargers lost this game because of miscues, missed field goal, red zone turnover, and a missed extra point. That I think it was just inside the 2-minute warning. It was a span of just sloppy play by both sides, and that did factor into it as well. But Houston entered the game as the league's leader in yards allowed and points per game allowed, and they held the Chargers to just under their average in both categories. Good win for the Texans there on the road. I think they still have a shot, if I'm not mistaken, to win the AFC South, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Dicker the kicker, man. They were talking about, oh yeah, I made it to the Pro Bowl this year, and whoop, this is the extra point. I was like, damn, he got the yips at the wrong time right now. Also, you mentioned his name. Shout to Amari Hampton, running back for the Chargers. This dude, man, it's like he'll guarantee to break at least one tackle. This rookie running back, watch out for him going forward in his career. Hope he doesn't have any injuries. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Ezekiel Elliott. Take that contact, no problem on the first couple of hits. So I'm going to be watching him going forward. All right, everybody, before we get going with the rest of the show, this episode is brought to you by Prehemium, a CBD health and wellness company. Check out their full line of CBD products, which are their line of CBD infused products, which are perfect after workout refuel for athletes, a pain reliever for weekend warriors, and even a natural sports drink for us armchair quarterbacks. Their featured product is CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite of mine, as well as tinctures and mints and natural flavors. They are veteran, woman, and minority owned, so come get some of this sweet hempitation and taste the premium difference. Use code B&E for 15% off your order. Their website is prehemium.com. And now let's get back to our show.
Classic AFC North football, y'all, was on display in Cleveland Sunday when the Browns upset the Steelers 13-6. Not at all what I was expecting. Just a stalemate Steelers offense without DK Metcalf. Pittsburgh could not get anything going through the air. Pat Freiermuth led the way with 63 yards receiving. Damn near every time they had a third down, it was unsuccessful. They were 3 for 15 in that category. 0 for 3 on fourth down and 0 for 2 in the red zone. That includes the drive when Denzel Ward got in the way of the pass intended for MVS Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Honestly, looked like it was a little bit of contact, but the refs let him play. I know Steelers fans were a little bit upset with that drive. With that series down there in the goal-to-go situation, they had 3 straight attempts to MVS. And on the final one, I think it was Kenneth Gainwell was wide open on the left crosser, but Aaron Rodgers seemed like he was staring down MVS, and it was incomplete against one of the best corners in football, man. Not good for the Steelers. Overall stats were quite similar on both sides, but the difference was, again, Cleveland got those red zone stops when they needed to. Myles Garrett, he said after the game that it seemed like the Steelers were more focused on keeping him from getting that sack record on Aaron Rodgers than they were pushing the ball downfield. I know Mike Tomlin came back and pushed back against it in the post-game press conference. If you would ever
anything against Myles that we don't normally do against Myles, the sack record's irrelevant. We got to minimize him if we want to engineer victory. We did the same thing last time we played him. I didn't think he had any sacks in that game either. And so we didn't take a different approach because of the gravity of the record. It's just standard business when you playing these guys and him.
I've seen a Mike Tomlin post-game press conference. It is something to watch, especially after a loss. He is hilarious up there. I was just blinking back and forth and everything. But he got an answer for every question that the media throws at him. But yeah, not a good loss there for the Steelers. Of course, sets them up for a do or die situation in Week 18 there, and I call it Heinz Field, the catch up place. But it's now Acrisure Stadium against my Ravens. We'll see how that goes. But good win for the Browns. Unfortunately that Myles Garrett could not get that record. I was hoping that he got it last week. But he has had success against Joe Burrow. So we'll talk more about that come Friday. But Ed, what were your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man, they would double team, triple team. Hell, I bet most of the time they were like, "Where's Myles Garrett at?" The whole line go after him. Everybody else we don't care about. But you can kind of tell when he was getting close to Aaron Rodgers, the crowd would kind of cheer up a little bit more, and Aaron throw that ball away. They were definitely not trying to get that record broken against him. And it's funny. Let me go off on a little tangent real quick, because if they do let Mike Tomlin go, I would love to see him in like a media space for like a year, maybe somewhere on TV or hosting a podcast. Because like you said, man, his press conferences are great. I think he'd be a really good media personality if he does move on from football, if they let him go for any reason. I doubt they will, but just in case, or just so it does happen, because, the fans, every time the Steelers lose, Mike Tomlin's usually taking most of the blame. Going back to this game, though, man, the Steelers really could have used a number one wide receiver out there. Man, I wonder what happened to that guy. Really could have used something like that. They probably would have been a difference maker because, as he talked about, MVS wasn't able to connect with Aaron Rodgers, and Freiermuth was a leading pass catcher out there today, but it just wasn't enough. To the Brown side, Harold Fannin, the rookie tight end, he looks like a stud. I'm interested to see how his development goes into the next year. And I'm really curious what the Browns are going to do with this quarterback situation now. Shedeur Sanders, he has moved the offense a little bit more. Just needs to cut down on these turnovers. But I'm wondering, do they believe in this guy now, or they're just like, we're still going to draft a quarterback. They're probably going to be a top 5 pick type of team. I just wonder what the hell they're going to do with that situation. They got Deshaun Watson in the background still too. So I wonder how that's going to go. But yeah, man, back to this game. It was cool. I don't know if you saw the interaction with Tomlin and Shedeur Sanders after the game. They kind of dapped each other up, gave each other a brief hug. Tomlin gave him a little bit of words of encouragement, just like 3 words, and then moved on. But I thought that was...
Young man, just stay up. You know it.
150-pound, big-booty quarterback try to sneak his way in there.
That was kind of cool. And the Browns, man, got the job done. I'm pretty sure they would have liked to lose this game too, just to maintain a really good top 3. I know they're going to probably be in the top 5 draft position, but still, they probably would have wanted to lose this game. I know the players wanted to win, so want to see how that goes. And I doubt they're going to rest Myles Garrett next week just so he can get a chance at that sack record. But I wouldn't be surprised if something the Browns would do. He'd probably act like Max Crosby and leave the facility or something if that happens. If that does happen, Miles, Commanders, hey, we got a lot of cap space, buddy. Come on down to the NFC East. You can definitely do some things in DC, man. We can change the whole landscape of this shit if you want to do that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Steelers, I don't know, man. Without DK Metcalf, that offense looks way, way different. Tomlin's gonna have to really get in his bag when he plays against y'all next week. So we'll see how that goes going forward. All right, everybody, let's get into this Eagles Bills showdown. Going into this game, I thought the Eagles would win. I thought Saquon Barkley would have a really good game. He was relatively okay, didn't really did too much, but shout out to the Eagles defense, man. They were getting after my guy Josh Allen a lot, sacked him 5 times, was getting hits on him, was making him scramble around, trying to do everything he could to disrupt the game, and that's exactly what the Eagles did. Jalen Hurts made plays when he needed to. I talk about it all the time. They got two number 1 receivers, 1A, 1B, however you want to say it, but AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, they always seem to make plays, make big catches when you need them to make plays. And same with Dallas Goedert in the pass game too. I talked about it. I said it in the preview shoot. This could be a Super Bowl matchup that we see. I don't think it was Tony Romo. I think it might have been Nance who said it on the broadcast as well. But someone said it. I don't even know if that was the damn announcers, but someone said it was this could be a Super Bowl matchup too. So I won't be surprised if this happens. The Bills offense struggled pretty much all game until crunch time. Josh Allen tried to put on the Superman cape, had a touchdown, but then when they needed to, win the game, they went for 2. And the whole going for 2 thing, I have no issues with it, no problems with it. This game wasn't like make it or break it where they would lose it. This is a type of situation where you actually want to go for 2 because you could be in a situation where you actually need to go for 2. So I have no problems with them going for 2. Josh Allen made a bad throw. Everybody always says, oh, he doesn't have any help. He's doing it out there by himself. But when he plays bad, you kind of, he was doing too much. It's pretty much an excuse for Josh Allen. He doesn't take a lot of criticism a lot of these days. Tom Brady was kind of getting on him, though. If you listen to the broadcast, he's calling out how his protections were wrong when he was trying to tell his linemen to pick up this guy, pick up that guy, and it led to him getting in trouble. So that was kind of cool to see, interesting to see. But Josh Allen, I'm sure he's kicking himself for this game. Once I have his back, he had a couple of throws out there that he missed. But the Bills, man, they could use a guy like Stephon Diggs. I know he's been gone for 2 years, but it always seems to be like there's a receiver out there. Some days the receiver's doing good, some days it's the tight end, but they don't have a guy, in my opinion, who you can like I talk about with the Eagles, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, a guy you can count on each and every time for about 9 out of 10 times to make a play happen. James Cook's not getting going. Josh Allen got scrambled around, run for 20 yards around the field, then throw a ball. But if it doesn't happen that way, they're going to lose games. So we'll see how that goes going forward. But, yeah, good win for the Eagles, though. Brandon, what did you think of this game?
Defensive aura, man. Philadelphia in the first half eventually shut out the Bills for nearly 55 minutes of the 60-minute ball game. Plus, they played a lot of cover 3 versus Buffalo's 11 personnel, and Buffalo just could not move the ball to save their lives for most of this game, man. Buffalo's defense, though, in the second half, they did help out. Jalen Hurts was 0 for 7 passing during that second half period. Nick Sirianni said it best after the game, man. Winning is hard in this league, and he had a very valid point, man. But let's go to that Buffalo final drive. 8 seconds, 4th and goal, less than a foot away. Allen, he went over the top for the touchdown. They lined up for the 2-point conversion. Allen incomplete to Shakir. You mentioned it was a bad throw. It was about a good probably 3 yards gap between the ball and the receiver. Honestly, that's what it looked like. Did have a lot of pressure in his face, but again, it was just a bad throw. He's one of the best quarterbacks in this league, I've noticed, and I've said this a couple times, rolling out to the right for some reason. I guess, obviously right-handed, so it makes it easier for him. But if he's rolling out to the left, he's not as good. And he was rolling out to the left on this play, so that could have, factored into it as well. In a game where Buffalo literally had to fight for every yard, man, and every score, it basically came down to one play there at the end. Something usually goes the other way for Buffalo, man. But you mentioned Tom Brady. He did. If you was watching the broadcast, I know you mentioned the Giants game too when we were texting, but sounds like you was watching all together. They was going for the touchdown that I mentioned, the final touchdown, and he was like, I think they called timeout. Josh Allen and Cook and I guess a couple of the skill position guys came over to the sideline. They was walking back out, so they was like, "What do you think you should call in this situation?" So Tom Brady was like, "We need to take Josh Allen, his big booty quarterback, and go straight up the middle." He was watching heat online about that one.
150-pound big booty quarterback try to sneak his way in there.
It was all types of memes going on about that one. But yeah, you mentioned also Tom Brady calling out, Josh Allen and, some of the offensive issues. And it does kind of like bring me back to the whole situation that they were rivals for all them years. And I know Josh Allen just came to the league in 2018, but that does make sense. So I guess when he left, I think he left New England, 2022, give or take, sometime around then. But anyway, so I'm sure there's in the back of Tom Brady's mind, he probably was excited to see the Bills lose. Obviously, the Bills were not, but yeah, good win for Philadelphia. I agree with that 2-point conversion, though. I would have went for it as well. They just could not get anything going offensively. Would you really want to go to overtime when you weren't moving the ball except for those last few minutes? I don't think, even though the morale would have been in their favor at that point, if they kicked the extra point and went to overtime, I'm still not sure that they would have been able to move the ball against that defense again to get a do-or-die score in overtime.
Also, can someone do something to Jalen Carter? It's like he be punking guys sometimes. There was a play where he hit a guy in the eye gouge him and chopped him in the throat slash. I'm like, damn, this dude be doing a spit on Dak Prescott. It's like he be punking guys, man. He like the big bad wolf out there sometimes, man. Somebody, I know after the game, I saw they were trying to get into a little bit after the game, led into the tunnel a little bit, but can somebody just, and I'm not wishing any harm on somebody, can somebody just body slam him kind of like Derwin James did to Travis Kelce? I know it's a big dude with D lineman, so that's being harder said than done, but still, stick up for yourself, man. Damn, that's crazy. All right, everybody. Believe this was the Sunday night game. 49ers taking on the Bears in an offensive battle. Brandon, what were your thoughts on this game?
Outside of that pick six you texted me about, man, neither defense really showed up in this game. Combined for nearly 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, a bunch of big plays, plus for the first time in over a month, San Francisco used their punter. No single play, though, was bigger than that final stop for Robert Sala's defense down in the red zone. Caleb Williams eluded the defender. And then he ended up having the big defensive tackle, Gross Meadows, bearing down on him. Missed the just narrowly missed Jade Walker about a yard. He had about two guys right there in the vicinity of the football, but he was short either way. It would have been the game winner there in Santa Clara. I was wrong about CMC. I thought Kyle Shanahan was going to try to get him more involved in the passing game, but he was the bell horse on the ground, man. What he had, 23 carries, 140 yards, and a touchdown. 41 yard was his long. But my game ball goes to Brock Purdy, man. You texted me about his pick six, and I told you he was a liability in these primetime games. We played him a couple years ago. He came in probably an MVP candidate. I think he had like 20-some touchdowns to maybe 3 or 4 interceptions at that point, and he threw, I believe, 4 interceptions against us that night, 4 or 5 interceptions. It was a rough night for him.
Yeah, I remember
but
that, yeah.
He really performed well in this one. 303 yards, a touchdown. 3 touchdowns after that interception, and he also had 2 touchdowns on the ground, man. He really shut me the hell up in this game for sure. But yeah, great win for the Niners. They've set up a big-time Saturday matchup with the Seattle Seahawks, man. They got winner takes all for the NFC West and winner takes all for the top seed in the NFC. That's Saturday night. I believe it's on NBC, but we'll see. Eddie, your thoughts on this one?
Man, you talk about Brock Purdy. This dude look like Steve Montana and Steve Young, Joe Montana combined out there. He running around, making defenders running circles around him, tossing touchdowns. This dude is smoking on a good roll right now, man. I honestly, I won't be surprised if the 49ers. I talked about the Eagles and the Bills make it, but I won't be surprised if the 49ers make it all the way to the Super Bowl. That defense gonna have to tighten some things up. In my preview show, I said I thought the Bears would get exposed. They kind of did, kind of didn't. Caleb Williams, he showed up. I thought the offense was gonna take a little bit of a hit against the Niners, but they were doing their thing. The defense, though, like I said, Brock Purdy, Steve Young, Joe Montana combined out there. They had no answers for Brock Purdy. That Bears defense, they look silly out there at times, especially that one touchdown. Brock Purdy had 2 Bears defenders, the linemen, just looking crazy out there. But yeah, the Bears defense, they're gonna have to figure that out when they get to the playoffs, because that was definitely not a good performance for them. The defensive line, I don't know, man. DeAndre Swift, I talked about when he played against us. I'm still biased. I'm still salty about the Bears winning. But, he looked like Jim Brown, any of the great Bears running backs of the past, Thomas Jones, any of the guys. He didn't look like that against the 49ers, only 54 yards rushing. Kyle Monangai, didn't really see him do a lot out there as far as taking a game over. So I want to see if this was just one of those games or the run game. Caleb Williams was in his back, 330 yards. He was doing his thing out there, but I really want to see how they look going forward. Now, I will say the rookie wide receiver for the Bears, Luther Burton, he was doing his thing out there, man. He really showed up. He hasn't played a lot this year. I think he's been banged up, things like that. But without Roma Dunze out there, he looked like he's going to be really good. It looks like the Bears in the future are going to have 3 really good wide receivers. Roma Dunze looks pretty good. If Burton can continue to play half like this, and they got the veteran DJ Moore out there too, what I'm going to talk about in a second. But that offense in the future, watch out if Caleb Williams can continue to improve. Now, DJ Moore, I think it was the last play of the game for the Bears. You can kind of see him. He was on one side of the field in the end zone, and Caleb was rolling out to the other side, so we didn't see him. But you can see DJ Moore like jump in the air, like, yo, I'm open. This is kind of like the second time I've seen something like this where DJ Moore, the first time it was against the Packers game they lost, and you could tell he was a little frustrated because the ball didn't go his way. I'm not saying he was frustrated, but you can see him like, yo, come on, give me the ball. So I wonder, and it's probably nothing, but I'm wondering how the chemistry between DJ and Caleb Williams is going to be in the future, because I'm not saying DJ Moore is showing up his quarterback or anything like that. I'm just saying it kind of looks like he's frustrated out there at times when he doesn't get the ball in those crucial situations. So I want to see how that looks going forward. But yeah, man, the 49ers, I talked about it. Is even though Christian McCaffrey is out there doing his thing, they it's like they got guys. George Kittle didn't play. Tonga showed up. The Jake Tonga is the other tight end. Ricky Pearsall, he was doing his thing. Jawan Jennings, he was doing his thing out there. They find ways, even though Christian McCaffrey is a tried and true, he's gonna do his thing out there. They also have these other pieces where it doesn't matter. You can stop this guy on this play. Okay, we got this guy, Waldo. We're gonna make you're gonna make a mismatch with this guy. They find ways to win games. This offense, man, is looking really good. They're rolling at the right time. They're winning games. They could potentially, if they make it all the way deep in the playoffs, they talk about, well, Fred Warner could be back by the damn conference championship game, and that'd be a really good addition for that defense. So, yeah, man, we got to watch out for these 49ers, man. Mahomes and them ain't in the playoffs right now, or they're not going to be in the postseason. So I'm just saying, I don't know. 49ers, I don't know, man. We got to watch out and see for those guys. That's all I got, though.
You'll find out real quick about DJ Moore and them wide receivers in the offseason, because I think DJ Moore is in year 2 of a 4-year extension. We know Roma Dunze got drafted last year, and I believe Luther is a young guy. So, yeah, you'll find out real quick, because, I mean, we thought that, or at least I thought that Keenan Allen was going to stick around a little bit longer with them, and, they kind of parted ways with him or let him go. So, yeah, we'll see how that chemistry is going, or is there an issue as well? And then again, we know the passing game hasn't been electric in a sense. It will get exposed in the playoffs for sure if that's the case. So We'll find out a whole lot after, one way or another, once the playoffs are done, all in all. All right.
One way or another for sure.
Let's give away some player awards and offensive ace of the week. Who you got?
I gotta give it to Drake May, man. Another multiple touchdown performance, 256 yards, 5 touchdowns. Had a little bit of rushing yards, 22 rushing yards, but building a really good MVP case for himself, man. I don't like to admit it, but the Patriots looking good with this guy, man. They probably found their franchise quarterback. Drake May is my offensive player of the week. How about you?
Freight train, Derrick Henry. 36 carries, 216 yards, 4 touchdowns in the absence of Lamar Jackson. Plus, it was the most rushing yards by an opposing player in Lambeau history. We all know how long Lambeau Field has been open for. How about your defensive player of the week?
I'm going to give it to a Giants player, Brandon. How about Brian Burns? 1.5 sacks, about 4 total tackles, if I'm not mistaken. I got to show some love to the Giants. I ain't going to do it often, especially when they stink like this, but yeah, Brian Burns is my defensive player of the week. And going back on the offensive player, Derrick Henry was close to being my offensive player of the week. This is exactly for the stats he mentioned, but I had a feeling you were probably going to mention him, so I chose that. I was almost going to call him a clown. Drake May.
Understood. I'm going to go with Denzel Ward. He only had 1 tackle and 1 pass defense, but he was targeted on those final 3 plays. Against MVS, I believe it was each play against Marquez Valdez-Scantling as well. One of the best corners in football. Great game for Denzel Ward, number 21, I believe he is out there with Cleveland. But
he was almost going to be – I almost picked him exactly because of those 3 last plays too. Like, I was like, man, I really want to give it to Denzel Ward, but let me show some love to the Giants.
Yeah. Speaking of the Giants, if y'all haven't watched Hard Knocks NFC East, watch that. They did showcase Brian Burns when they was talking about the Giants a lot. He was mic'd up a lot in the film section room and stuff. They, it's a very good series to see a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and even the family oriented stuff with our players that we watch every Sunday, every week.
Yeah.
Special teams player of the week, Ed.
Okay, even though this guy's a defensive player, I got to give it to Jared Verse, Rams. Rusher blocked a field goal attempt, and then he ran it back for a touchdown, giving the Falcons a deuces on his way to the end zone. Really good play out there. So Jared Verse is my special team player of the week for his performance on that play. How about you, Brandon?
That's exactly where I was going to go. Jared Verse blocked that field goal, 3rd quarter Monday Night Football, 2nd-year linebacker. He could do it all, man. They talk about him from the defensive standpoint. Now he shows up on special teams, man. The Rams, despite the loss, they're something serious too to watch in the playoffs.
Yeah,
How about
they
your
are. They're gonna need to get Devontae Adams back though.
yeah, true. How about your bonehead player call of the week?
You texted me about this earlier this week, or should I say last week. Shannon Sharp kind of tweeted something too on Christmas, everyone. He said dumb players or dumb plays get coaches fired. Frankie Louvu, you're my bonehead player of the week for, tackling Dak after he was already down. Now you could say he didn't know that he was down and everything like this, but this is kind of a pattern with Frankie Louvu. He's either whiffing on plays, trying to tackle players with his shoulder, and he's flying completely out of bounds, or he's doing bonehead stuff like this. So Frankie Louvu, my bonehead player of the week for tackling Dak after he was already down. Late hit. Hopefully you don't get a fine. You probably need to set up a savings account just because you're going to get fines. I know you had over, I think it's 6K or, it was over $300,000, close to it in your career with fines. So come on, sir, get it together. But you are Frankie Louvu, you're my bonehead player of the week. How about you, Brandon?
I'm gonna stick in the NFC East. Gonna go to Philadelphia. Backup Eagles right tackle. He is Fred Johnson. He went out on the field for the first possession against Buffalo without his helmet. Man, I guess they're backups for a reason. There's a reason why some people don't play and other people get all the snaps. Man, how long have you been playing football, my guy? I mean, I know during warmups you don't always wear your helmets, and it was just after kickoff, just after warmups. But come on, man. We know the ball had kicked off. It was y'all's first possession, man. Grab the helmet. You see all your other guys grabbing the helmet. You would think that's the last thing I need before I go on the field. And he tried it right out there by his helmet. It was hilarious, man. It's absolutely hilarious. Fred Johnson.
All right, y'all. Let's get into these other scores from week 17, shall we? Cowboys beat the Commanders 30-23. Good job, Commanders. Vikings defense dominated the Lions 23-10. Broncos win their first game in Arrowhead since 2015, 20-13. Ravens rushed for 307 yards in a 41-24 victory over Green Bay on Saturday. Bengals trounced the Cardinals 37-14. Saints took it to the Titans 34-26. Jaguars outlasted the Colts 23-17. The Dolphins beat the Bucks 20-17. Patriots grounded the Jets 42-10. Seahawks handled the Panthers 27-10. Giants crushed the Raiders 34-10. But John Robinson rushed for 195 yards as the Falcons beat the Rams 27-24. A lot of people seem to be upset that the Falcons didn't allow Bijan Robinson the opportunity to get 200 yards rushing for the first time in his career. I know I saw Adrian Peterson talking about it in a clip on Twitter recently. But Brandon, which of these games caught your eyes the most?
Definitely surprised to that Monday Night Football outcome, Atlanta beating the Rams. I did not see that coming at all. Man, Seahawks, Panthers, you got to credit that Seattle defense, man. They really shut down that Carolina run game. They held Bryce Young to 54 yards through the air. Just a tough out for them. They were close there for a second, but Seattle got ahead there when they needed to. Dolphins over the Bucks. That was another little bit surprising for me. I kind of had a feeling that that Miami was going to beat them, but Dolphins defense really came on strong over the last 4 to 6 weeks. Not one of the best defenses, but they're showing signs of light down there. How about Tyler Shook, man, against the Tennessee Titans? He had another solid game there for the Louisville product. I always, again, have respect for him. Lamar Jackson played at Louisville as well. And then Ravens, Packers, man. Again, I wanted us to lose this one. That way the season would have been over with, because I don't want to go into Pittsburgh and lose this game coming up on Sunday night. But to the game, man, Malik Willis, he played a hell of a game. Gave it his all, and you saw the difference when he went out, because 2 plays in, the backup quarterback threw an interception. Derrick Henry, again, most rushing yards there for opposing player at Lambeau Field. Finally, Todd Monken stuck to the script, man. It's been so many games where we'll come out rushing the ball, get straight downfield and score on the first drive, and then after that, he just deteriorates from the run altogether, and it's just, or he'll run to that right side, which is weak, and we do nothing for damn near the rest of the game. So finally, we stuck to the script. Feed Derrick Henry. Lamar was out. Tyler Huntley, I think he's a solid backup. I always have liked him. But Todd Monken, I got to give him his props for doing what he was supposed to do. And side note, man, shout out to the Packers, man. Very classy, man. I know a lot of Ravens fans that are social media fan pages, they were talking about how Packers fans welcome them to tailgating. You don't get that a lot on the road, man. Very, very nice to them in the pregame and inside the stadium and stuff like that. They didn't disrespect, I believe it was Derrick Henry when he did his Lambeau leap. So yeah, shout out to the Green Bay Packers fans. Probably my second favorite NFC team altogether. But yeah, and what about these games caught your attention?
Yeah, you talked about the Saints and Tyler Shook, man. Think they won like 4 in a row since he's taken over. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Panthers last year when they went on a winning streak and they went to the next year, won and started winning games. So see how the Saints look going to the future. Now wondering how like the front office and the fans feel about them winning games. I mean, there's 6-10 at this point. So, I kind of wonder, would they rather lose games so they can get a better draft pick? Or are they happy with seeing the quarterback look like he can play, look like he might be a potential franchise quarterback for them? I'm sure they like that, but I'm wondering at the same time, would they rather lose and get better draft position? The Dolphins-Bucks game, there might be some going into the next week, this Bucks-Panthers matchup. We might have some questions about Baker Mayfield and the Bucks organization as a whole, but I'll get into that a little bit more next week or Friday, I should say. And like you talk about the Falcons-Rams game, the outcome was kind of surprising, but end of the year, man, a lot of teams, when they don't have the playoffs anymore, they playing for incentives or they just playing out there free, not a lot of pressure out there. So these kind of games, the outcomes be unexpected, but it can happen out there. Same talking about the Dolphins and Bucks. Like the Dolphins don't really got much to play for besides incentives. I know Bradley Chubb, he had a sack out there and he got like $900,000 off of that. So, I mean, stuff like that's going to be bound to happen. What are the other games? Definitely that Ravens game. Like you said, y'all. Now watch next week. Of course, the Steelers going to be ready for Derrick Henry. Watch next week. Y'all have a game where, Derrick Henry get like 10 carries for 89 yards. And then it's like, where's Derrick Henry? Y'all better, hey, man, like I said, it's this time of the year, load management, no. If it's a game where it needs 40 carries, it's 40 carries, all right? So this playoff game for y'all next week, pretty much. I think there was one more game. Jaguars outlasting the Colts. Phillip Rivers, I know you happy he lost. They did their best out there for the Colts to win the game. The Jaguars, this is one of those trap game type situations, but they were able to win the game. So, hey, the Jaguars, I don't know, man. We'll see how they do out there when the playoffs start. Definitely a good win for them. But, yeah, that's all I got for these games. Yeah.
We're going to talk about Ravens Steelers on Friday, but I'm going to give you all a quick preview since you brought it up. It's going to be no pass rush. It's going to be back to that. Zay Flowers going to be, happy feet again and mess around and fumble. Okay. They're likely going to fumble. And then, like you mentioned, it's going to be a low workload for Derrick Henry. I already see how it's going to go. It don't matter who playing quarterback next week. I know John Harbaugh talking about some, I think it's day-to-day type situation, or we'll see how it goes. He always doing that bluffing with injuries. It drives me crazy. But, yeah, we'll talk more about this Friday. I already know how it's going to go. But definitely, yeah, it's not going to be the same workload for Derrick Henry. Ain't no way in hell they're going to feed him 36 times up in Pittsburgh. I already know how Todd Monken operates. I already know. All right, everyone. Just like that, week 17 is in the books. Thank you so much for supporting us and watching our show. Please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Just search for the B&E Podcast. Follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, Podcast B&E, and on IG at B&E Podcast. We got plenty of football left for week 18. We'll be back Friday to preview the key games for next weekend. Until next time, love one another.